where to get unlimited ideas so that you never, ever run out of ideas, inspiration, whatever you need so you can keep producing content on a daily basis. So important and so easy when you get just a little bit of creativity going. So here we go. I wrote down a bunch of things here, so get out your one notebook for note taking and let's go and start jotting down ideas, okay? So here's one place you can go to. Google. Type in some keywords. You may need to audit what your interests are first, like maybe write down what your hobbies are. Like for me, I love the outdoors, I love traveling, I love art, I love music, I love guitars, health and fitness, obviously. I love learning about the rules of money, real estate, something I recently got into, family. I love all those things. Personal development, I love all those things. So I can do keyword searches on google.com and youtube.com, and I will never run out of things that, results are going to be in the millions, if not the billions. So use Google, play around with keywords that have to do with what you're interested in, what you know about, and things that you desire to want to learn about. Because if you're learning things you want to learn about anyway, it certainly makes this more fun, more enjoyable, and more genuine. And people will line up with that energy much more. Look for blogs. So among your search results in Google and YouTube, you're going to find blogs, you're going to find video, you're going to find lists, you're going to find like the top 10 ways to do this or the top 3 things you must avoid for that. You're going to find tutorials and just flat out how to on whatever your interests are. They're all over the place. You can spend just a couple minutes looking at something really quick or go into it in depth, whatever you feel, whatever you got time for, and just pull one little nugget out of something that you find. And you could do a whole video, a 2 or 3 minute video where you're basically remember, you got that strong title so people want to click on it. And then you got a strong opening right off the bat so people don't get bored and leave right away because nobody has an attention span anymore. And then you get right into teaching or informing or entertaining or whatever it is that you're doing. And then right into the call to action. Hey, if you love health and fitness like I do, and you want to learn how to make some money with health and fitness, private message me. And please share this video if you know somebody who would like what I just showed you. That sort of thing. So it's not too shabby, right? So blogs, videos, look for those things on topic matters based on those keywords that you do around what your interests are. You could list in your videos, to reiterate, people love 10 ways to do this. The number one thing you must know about that. The one thing you got to avoid. The one thing everybody does wrong. Here's what successful people are doing that want to do this. All kinds of ideas. You can look at magazines. When you're standing at the checkout at the grocery store or whatever, they've always got the magazine racks right there. You can go to bookstores. You can go to Barnes and Nobles. There's books on anything you could ever possibly want. You could sit down for a few minutes and take all kinds of notes. Maybe buy a book or two if something really strikes you. You could take a magazine or a book and open it up, and you could have inspiration furnished for like the next several years on things that you might want to talk about because you're just taking them in little digestible bits at a time. You're not going to teach like a whole book in one piece of content. It's just going to be a little 2-3 minute, maybe 5-minute video or something, or blog posting. So gosh, magazine headlines, speaking of that, people are paid many thousands or millions of dollars to come up with those magazine headlines. So obviously they work really well. So you might want to think about using some of those. Now some of them sound a bit salesy because maybe the purpose behind a magazine might be different than, say, what Facebook is. People go to Facebook to be entertained, educated, informed. So they don't go to Facebook to be pitched or sold to like maybe you might go to a magazine. So keep that in mind as you're getting those ideas too, okay? Another thing, this is one of my favorites, seminars, webinars, your education process, you're reading a personal development book, any of that kinds of stuff. I go to seminars, several of them throughout the year. I actually get on a plane and I go somewhere. I listen to many more webinars online where I'm not going anywhere, but it's online. I took in a training or something like this is a training, right? So I'm taking all these notes. My hand is so busy writing things down. I could go to like one weekend event, or even not even just a weekend event, one half-hour webinar online, And I can have so many ideas and so many notes and so many things I could teach because I'm learning and teaching. That's the whole formula to this, is learn and teach. Sometimes it's invest, learn and teach, or it's for free, you learn and teach, whatever. Your notes are like Ray Higdon calls them uncashed paychecks. And I love looking at it that way because it's true. It's like you got these notes. If you do nothing with the notes, then they're not paychecks. They're uncashed paychecks. If you want to cash in those paychecks, you got to do something with those notes. You can certainly learn and teach. I could attend a half-hour webinar, and maybe that might furnish my next 20 videos. I could go to a weekend conference somewhere, weekend seminar, and that could furnish 100 videos or hundreds of videos and blog posts. So many ideas. Let's see here. What else did I write down? You could ask your audience. So you're developing some kind of a following where people are loyal. They're conditioned to constantly check out what you're posting because you're consistent. And consistency is going to draw larger audiences over time. So maybe you might want to think about what they'd like to hear about. You could ask questions, things that are engaging and require some kind of a response. Or if you have a newsletter going, you could just simply ask, what would you like to learn more about? Or you could get really specific as it relates to health and fitness and wellness and money and whatever. What would you like to learn more about this? And sometimes, people, actually, that's a great example of where people want to be heard, and this gives them a chance to be heard. Simply pay attention and recognize the patterns of people and what they're talking about. You might notice that, wow, there's a lot of people suddenly that are looking for solutions about that, or they're finding this to be a problem, or they're dreaming about this. As you recognize those patterns, you can be like, I could do a little bit of research and make a video, piece of content, a blog posting about that, and then publish it, and people might really dig it. So patterns, I just noticed patterns. Nobody even needed to teach me that one. It's just something I always knew, which is kind of cool. Interview. If there's somebody who's successful and this or that, or somebody just lost a bunch of weight, or somebody just recently signed up to be a business owner like you did, and they just crushed it their first month, or maybe they spent 10 years going nowhere, suddenly they had a breakthrough. You can interview people based on what they've accomplished, what they've learned, and those can be really great because now you're leveraging the expertise of another person. And I think that actually does something to your credibility as well. If people see you interviewing people that have done something really cool. Your story, your journey. What did you do today? Lessons learned, progress, how you feel. Those are my notes. So your whole journey with your health and your fitness. You could make a post every day. You could do a couple posts every day about that. You could do one about your food, another one about your workout. Talk about your mental status. Talk about problems that you're having and how you overcome them. Because you never want to just stay in the problem, then you're negative now. But problems are real. We all have them no matter how positive we are. So talk about your problems and your setbacks and what you're doing to overcome them. Every time you score a victory, every time you accomplish a goal or solve a problem, make sure you also mention what you had to overcome to score that victory or to solve that problem. Talk about how you feel and how you changed what life looks like now compared to how it looked yesterday, and what you had to do to make this change to be in this new beautiful place. You could also review things like, I don't know, there's a new product out, there's a new service out as it relates to whatever you're interested in. You could give it an honest review. Maybe you like 9 out of 10 things about it, and in the spirit of keeping it real, you can make it a point to find something you don't like about it so that you're just more credible throughout the review. And last but not least, but maybe most importantly, pay attention to life. Pay attention to your surroundings. Be a conscious human being, not asleep at the wheel. But if you're just paying attention to life, like I hear things and I see things all the time that give me ideas. And so I typically don't even have to go out of my way to do all these other things to find inspiration to write about. The inspiration comes to me because I'm paying attention to life. If you're paying attention to life, you're going to be hit with ideas all over the place, and you'll rarely have to do any of these other things to try to find something to come up with ideas to be inspired to talk about something. So pay attention to life. I think you'll get more out of that than anything else. But you got this whole list. If I were you, I'd watch this video again if you weren't taking notes and jot down everything. And quick review, Google and YouTube keywords around your interests and things that you're interested in learning about. Look for blogs, look for videos. I'll look for lists, like 10 ways to do this, number one thing you gotta avoid to do this, whatever. Magazine headlines, the content in books and content in other magazines. Webinar notes that you take because you are attending webinars and seminars and conferences and meetings and whatnot. You can ask your audience, or if you got a newsletter, you can, or Facebook, just a Facebook post, you can ask people what they'd like to learn more about or what they're most interested in. Find creative ways of asking questions and getting that kind of engagement where you get feedback from people. Recognize patterns of people, what they're saying, what they're doing. If you recognize a certain pattern, maybe you can address that in a piece of content that you make that's really attractive. Interview somebody. Share your story. Every day is part of your story. It's a microcosm of your masterpiece that you're involved in creating. So share that every day. Go to bookstores. You can review something. And most of all, pay attention to life. And you might even think of some things I didn't think of. But that's it. Enjoy this. Share it with your teams, man. You will never, ever run out of ideas. Okay? Now, I have got lots more social media training on my website at tombirkenmeyer.com. Speaking of, I've got blogs, videos. Wow, how congruent with this lesson. You could probably find a million gazillion individual little ideas that you could create a piece of content about with your own spin. I'm not saying to plagiarize or anything like that, but wow, furnishing ideas for your next content. There you go.